The sound of liquid splashing across denim made every head in the Iron Horse bar turn toward the back corner. Lieutenant Jake Morrison stood over the small table, his beer bottle still tilted, watching amber liquid soak into the woman's jeans with a smirk that suggested he'd done it on purpose. "Oops," Morrison said. "My bad, sweetheart. But honestly, what'd you expect sitting in a warrior's bar? This ain't the place for civilian ladies playing pretend." His 4 SEAL teammates erupted in laughter, their voices bouncing off the walls like they owned the place. The woman sitting there, dark locks pulled back from her face, didn't move. She just watched the beer drip onto the floor with the kind of patience that made Morrison's grin falter for half a second before he doubled down on his performance. Before we dive into what happens next, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because this story takes turns you won't believe. And drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I want to see how far Naomi's story travels across this country. Trust me, you'll want to stay until the very end. Naomi Carter reached for the napkin dispenser, never broke eye contact with the SEAL standing over her table. "You good?" Morrison pressed. "I asked if you were good." "I'm fine." Her voice came out soft. "Accidents happen." The word accidents made Morrison's teammates laugh harder. One of them slapped the table. His own beer nearly toppled. "She thinks it was an accident," he called out. "Jake, she actually thinks—" "I know what he meant," Naomi interrupted, still dabbing at her jeans. "I'm giving him the chance to pretend he didn't." The laughter stopped. Morrison's face went from amused to irritated. "The hell does that mean?" Naomi set the soggy napkins aside, picked up her ginger ale. Her hand stayed steady. "It means you walked past my table 3 times before you spilled your beer on me. You chose the moment when I was looking at my phone. You wanted an audience." The bar got quieter. The jukebox still played, conversation still hummed, but the space around Naomi's table had developed its own gravity. Morrison's jaw tightened. "You calling me a liar?" "I'm calling you obvious." One of Morrison's teammates stood up, Hispanic guy with sergeant stripes. "Jake, man, let's just sit down, Rodriguez." Morrison didn't look at him. "I'm having a conversation about respect, about how civilians need to understand that some places aren't for them." Naomi leaned back. The movement looked casual. Her weight shifted, feet repositioned beneath the table. Center dropped by exactly the right amount. "What makes you think I'm civilian?" Morrison snorted. "Baby, I can smell civilian from a mile away. The way you sit there acting like you belong, wearing your college sweatshirt like it's a uniform, drinking ginger ale like you're at brunch." "Howard University," Naomi said. "Class of 2008. "See? Probably studied sociology or pre-med. Switched majors junior year." Morrison leaned both hands on her table, meant to intimidate, tower over her, make her feel small. "Let me give you some free advice. The Iron Horse isn't where civilians come to feel special. This is where real warriors drink. Men who've bled for this country." Naomi took another sip. "Tell me, Lieutenant Morrison, does it bother you that I know your rank without seeing your ID?" Morrison jerked back. "Or that I know your call sign is Bulldog because in week 3 of SEAL training you got bit by an actual bulldog during a beach run." "How the hell?" "Or the time you nearly washed out because you panicked during the underwater test. Your swim buddy had to save you. His name was Chen. Master Chief Chen, now." Color drained from Morrison's face, then flooded back twice as red. "You don't know what you're talking about. I know that spilling beer on a stranger because you need to feel important says more about you than it does about me." Rodriguez stood again. "Jake, seriously, I said sit down." But Rodriguez wasn't looking at Morrison. He stared at Naomi, phone clutched in his hand. Morrison grabbed Naomi's wrist, not hard enough to bruise, firm enough to make his point. 2.3 seconds. Naomi's free hand moved. Morrison's wrist bent backward, elbow hyperextended, shoulder rotated wrong. His face hit the table. Glasses rattled. His teammates jumped up. Chairs scraped. Naomi hadn't stood. She sat there, holding Morrison's arm in a lock, ginger ale still in her other hand. "When you grab someone," she said, same gentle tone, "you're giving them a weapon. Your own arm becomes a lever, like using a crowbar. Basic physics." Morrison tried to push up. The angle made movement excruciating. They teach this in the second week of Army Special Operations Prep course, but SEALs don't go through that program, which means either I'm making it up or you should pay attention. The bartender had moved closer, grizzled black man with forearms like steel cables. Marine Corps tattoos covered his arms. His name was Marcus. "Easy," Marcus said, not to Naomi, to Morrison's teammates. "Everybody just take it easy." Naomi released Morrison's arm, sat back, took another sip like nothing had happened. Morrison stumbled backward, rubbing his wrist. "You just assaulted a federal officer." "You grabbed me first. I used self-defense. Nothing excessive. 12 witnesses will testify it was proportional." The blonde SEAL stepped forward. Name tape read, Jenkins. "You can't just attack people." "In SEAL close quarters battle," Naomi interrupted, "when clearing a room, what's the fourth step after you assess the doorway?" Jenkins froze. "What?" "The doorway is your kill zone. You're most vulnerable there. You assess it, stack your team, breach. Then what?" "Why would you know? Dynamic entry for large rooms with multiple targets. Limited entry for small rooms where your team might shoot each other by accident. Basic tactics. The fact that you hesitated tells me you need more practice." Rodriguez's phone clattered onto his table. "Oh my God," he whispered. "Jake, we need to—" "Shut up, Rodriguez." "Jake, I just found—" "I said shut up!" A woman entered the bar. Hospital scrubs, ID badge clipped to her pocket. Dr. Sarah Williams, VA Medical Center. She scanned the room, found Naomi, rushed over. "Naomi, are you okay?" "Just a misunderstanding," Naomi said. "She attacked Jake," Jenkins said. Sarah looked at Morrison's wet hand, at the puddle on Naomi's table, at the defensive positions. "A misunderstanding, right." She pulled up a chair. "I'll wait." Morrison pointed at Naomi. "We're not done. You put your hands on a SEAL. What do you want? An apology? I want to know who you think you are. Walking in here acting like you know military operations. Earned?" Naomi's voice stayed soft, carried an edge that made everyone listen. "You want to talk about earning? About who belongs where?" She stood up. 5'6", should have been dwarfed, but something in how she carried herself made her seem larger. "I came here for one drink. One quiet drink." I chose the Iron Horse because the bartender is a friend. I sat in the back because I didn't want to be bothered, and you decided a woman sitting alone must be taught a lesson. "Because you are civilian," Morrison shot back. "Why should I prove anything? This is a public bar. I paid for my drink. The only person making a scene is you." Jenkins stepped forward. "If you're so badass, prove it. Arm wrestle Jake. He's never lost." Naomi glanced at him. "No." "Scared?" "Uninterested." "Arm wrestling proves who has stronger wrists. It's a party trick." "Then what would prove it?" Before Naomi could answer, a woman in Navy officer's uniform entered. Commander Patricia Hayes. Tall, black, carried herself with authority that made people straighten. "Lieutenant Morrison," she said, "is there a problem?" Morrison snapped to attention. "Ma'am, no ma'am. Just a civilian who—" "I asked if there was a problem. Yes or no?" "No, ma'am." Hayes looked at Naomi. The two women studied each other. Eyes held. Hayes's posture shifted. Naomi's shoulders relaxed a fraction. "Ma'am," Naomi said. Hayes returned the nod. "I don't believe we've met." "No, ma'am. Just passing through." Passing through the Iron Horse on a Thursday night. Hayes didn't believe it. "You work at the VA hospital?" "I'm a trauma counselor. Veterans with PTSD, mostly combat-related." "And you chose to unwind at a military bar." "The irony isn't lost on me." Hayes almost smiled. "Lieutenant Morrison, find a table on the other side of the bar. I think this young woman has had enough of your hospitality." Morrison's jaw worked. "Ma'am, with all due..." That wasn't a suggestion. No room for argument. Morrison and his team retreated. Jenkins muttered something about special treatment. Hayes waited until they were gone, pulled up Sarah's chair. "Mind if I sit?" "Free country," Naomi said. "That wrist lock, where'd you learn it?" "Self-defense class." Bull. That was military combatives. The kind where you twist an arm like turning a wrench. Controlled. Precise. They don't teach that at the gym. Naomi sipped her ginger ale. "Maybe I had a good instructor." "Maybe." Hayes leaned back. Never left Naomi's face. "Or maybe you're more familiar with military combat than you're letting on." Marcus set a fresh ginger ale down, removed the old one. "On the house. Commander, people deserve privacy." "Just having a conversation, Marcus. Conversations don't usually involve interrogating customers." Hayes held up her hands. "Fair enough. My apologies." She stood. For what it's worth, Morrison had that coming. His team's been getting cocky. She walked away. Sarah squeezed Naomi's hand. "Your hands are shaking." Naomi looked down. The tremor was there. "Adrenaline. Or a trigger. Confrontations like this, I handled it." "I know, but that doesn't mean it didn't cost you something." Across the bar, Rodriguez scrolled his phone frantically. Every few seconds he'd look at Naomi, then back at his screen, expression growing more shocked. Morrison rejoined his team. "Something's not right about her. Nobody moves like that without training." "Jake!" Rodriguez's voice strangled. "You need to see this." "I don't need to." "Jake!" Rodriguez thrust his phone forward. "Look at her record. I found it in a veteran database." Morrison grabbed the phone. His eyes scanned. Color drained from his face. Hand trembled. "No," he whispered. "This says..." Jenkins snatched it. "What?" "It says she's dead. Killed in action. Mogadishu, 2015. Operation Crimson Dawn. But she's sitting right there." Rodriguez refreshed. "The photo's not great, but Jake, look at the eyes. Same woman." Hayes had been watching. She stood abruptly, walked back, expression of someone who'd solved the puzzle they didn't like. "Crimson Dawn," Hayes said, no preamble. "Mogadishu, 2015. Naomi's expression didn't change, but something in her eyes, a flash of pain, quickly hidden. Hayes pulled out her phone, entered a code, read. Her face went pale. 8 operators went in. 2 came back. 1 died on the helicopter. She looked up. The other was declared dead 6 months later, injuries too severe. The Pentagon classified everything, sealed the records. But I read the report. Every officer above a certain level had to. Hayes sat down heavy. 52 hostages. 380 militants. 19 hours. 1 operator held them off while getting everyone out. "I don't know what you're talking about," Naomi said. 143 confirmed kills. carried a dying teammate 400 meters while under fire. And then you disappeared. The bar went silent. Even the jukebox stopped. Naomi stood slowly. I should go. You were there. Not a question. You survived. I don't use that name anymore. Morrison blocked her path. His aggression had transformed to shock. Horror at what he'd done. Rodriguez showed me the file. The classified parts. They use it to teach survival against impossible odds. He swallowed. You're her. The ghost of Mogadishu. The operator we studied. Nobody, Naomi said, voice firm. I'm a counselor, that's all. Whatever those records say, that person died. She died with Sergeant Walsh. What's left is someone trying to help veterans cope. Prove it, Jenkins said, stepped forward. Earlier mockery gone, replaced by genuine challenge. If you're really her, prove it. Every special operator has a call sign. You can't walk away from it. He moved closer. If you served, you have one. So what is it? Naomi looked around, every eye on her. Phones out, recording. This moment would hit social media in minutes. The privacy she'd built, the anonymous life she'd constructed, all hanging by a thread. Sarah touched her arm. You don't have to. Yes, Naomi whispered. I do. She turned to Morrison, to Hayes, to the entire bar. Marcus set down his towel. Hands gripped the bar edge. Rodriguez held his phone steady. Hayes leaned forward. Morrison's teammates stood frozen. The silence stretched, became oppressive. My call sign, Naomi said, voice steady despite trembling hands, was Viper 1. Morrison's beer bottle slipped from his fingers. It fell, tumbling end over end. Amber liquid caught the bar lights. It hit the floor. Crash like a gunshot. And Jake Morrison, Navy SEAL, combat veteran, stood frozen, staring at the woman he'd poured beer on like she was a ghost he'd summoned from the grave. Rodriguez's phone clattered down, mouth hanging open. Jenkins took 3 steps back, hands up like surrendering. Hayes stood, came to attention, rendered a salute. Marcus came around the bar, dropped to one knee. Master Chief. Sarah's grip tightened on Naomi's arm. We need to go. Right now. But Naomi couldn't move, because every person in that bar was staring at her. Some with foams, some with recognition, some with disbelief. The legend they'd heard about in briefings. The operator who'd done the impossible. The woman who'd held off an army and won. Standing there in jeans and a Howard University sweatshirt, looking like anyone's neighbor, anyone's friend, anyone's daughter. Not a ghost, not a legend, just a woman who'd survived when survival meant carrying scars no one could see. Morrison's beer spread across the floor, golden liquid reflecting fluorescent lights. Glass shards scattered like the pieces of assumptions he'd made. The comfortable world where he knew who belonged and who didn't, where warriors looked a certain way, acted a certain way, fit into boxes he understood. Viper 1, he whispered again, like saying it might make it less real, less impossible. But Naomi Carter stood there, living proof that impossible was just another word for something no one had done yet. And the silence in the Iron Horse bar said everything words couldn't. That legends walk among us. That heroes look like regular people. That the most dangerous person in any room might be the one everyone underestimates. The jukebox kicked back on, some country song about redemption and second chances. But no one moved. No one spoke. They just stood there, staring at the woman who'd changed everything they thought they knew about strength, about courage, about who gets to be called a warrior. Naomi picked up her ginger ale with shaking hands, took one last sip, set it down with careful precision. "I need some air," she said to Sarah, and walked toward the door, past Morrison, who couldn't meet her eyes, past Hayes, who held her salute until Naomi was gone, past Rodriguez and Jenkins and all the others who'd laughed when Morrison spilled his beer. The door closed behind her with a soft click, and the Iron Horse bar exploded into chaos. The chaos wasn't loud. That was the strange part. No shouting, no arguments. Just the sound of chairs scraping, boots moving, phones being pulled out then deliberately put away. Marcus locked the front door, flipped the sign to closed, pulled down the blinds. Hayes stood at attention, still holding her salute, waiting for Naomi to acknowledge it. Morrison sat on the floor, back against the bar, head in his hands. His teammates stood around him like they didn't know whether to help or keep their distance. Rodriguez held his phone. Database still open. Photo of a dead woman who was very much alive, staring back at him. Sarah gripped Naomi's arm. "We're leaving. Right now." "I can't." Naomi's voice came out steady. Hands still shook, though. "Yes, you can. We walk out that door. And go where? Sarah, every person in this bar has a phone. My face is probably already on social media. The cat's not going back in the bag." Jenkins stepped forward, stopped 3 feet away. "Ma'am, I need to say—" "Don't." Naomi cut him off. "Don't apologize. Don't explain. Just don't. But we treated me exactly how you'd treat any civilian walking into a military bar. I get it. I was civilian. 30 minutes ago, I was just a counselor getting a drink. You didn't know. That's not an excuse." "No, but it's a reason." Naomi pulled away from Sarah, walked to where Hayes still stood at attention. "Commander, at ease. Please." Hayes dropped the salute. Didn't relax. "Master Chief, permission to speak freely?" "I'm not Master Chief anymore. I'm Naomi. Just Naomi." "With respect, that's not how this works. You don't stop being what you were just because you put on different clothes." Marcus brought a fresh ginger ale, set it on the bar. "She's right. I tried that for 5 years after Fallujah. Didn't take." Naomi turned to him. "You knew?" "Not until tonight. But I suspected. The way you move, the way you watch exits, the way you stayed calm when Morrison grabbed you." Marcus leaned against the bar. "Nobody who's really civilian stays that calm." The door rattled, someone trying to get in. Marcus didn't move to open it. "We're closed," he called out. "This is Rear Admiral Thompson. Open the door." Every active duty person in the bar snapped to attention. Marcus crossed to the door, unlocked it, pulled it open. Thompson stepped inside, 2 stars gleaming on his collar even though he wore civilian clothes, jeans, polo shirt, running shoes, like he'd sprinted from wherever he'd been when he got the call. "As you were," he said. Nobody relaxed. Thompson's eyes found Naomi, held her gaze for 5 full seconds. "Sergeant Major Carter, it's been a long time." "Sir." "How long has it been? 10 years?" 10 years, 3 months, 14 days. Thompson's expression softened. "You're counting." "I count everything." Naomi picked up her ginger ale, took a sip. "It's what I do." "I know. I read the psych evaluations, the ones they did at Walter Reed." "Those were supposed to be sealed." "They were. I unsealed them." Morrison pushed himself up from the floor. "Sir, I need to report—" "I know what happened, Lieutenant. Master Chief Chen called me 20 minutes ago, sent me video footage, told me I needed to get here immediately." Thompson pulled out his phone, held it up. The screen showed Naomi putting Morrison on his face. Perfect execution. 2.3 seconds from grab to pin. Chen recognized the technique, called it a Viper special, said only one person ever did it exactly that way. Rodriguez found his voice. "Sir, the database lists her as KIA, dead in Mogadishu." She was, clinically, twice on the medevac, 3 times during surgery at Walter Reed. She died. We brought her back. And then we had a choice. Thompson pocketed his phone. We could bring her back to Delta, put her through rehab, get her operational again. Or we could let her have a life. "I chose the life," Naomi said. "You earned the right to choose." Thompson turned to address the whole bar. "What happened here tonight doesn't leave this room. Sergeant Major Carter's identity remains classified. Anyone who posts video, shares photos, or discusses this outside these walls will face federal charges. Am I clear?" Chorus of, "Yes, sir." Thompson looked at Marcus. "That includes you." "Understood, Admiral. But people saw. Customers left before you locked down. Videos are probably already uploaded." "I have people handling that. Social media scrubbing, database lockdowns. By morning, any video of tonight will be flagged as deepfake." Thompson's jaw tightened. "The technology exists. We'll use it." "Sir." Hayes stepped forward. "Why? Why protect her identity if she's retired? She's civilian now." "Because there are people who'd very much like to have a conversation with the operator who killed 143 of their fighters in a single engagement. Because Viper 1 has a price on her head in 7 countries. Because letting the world know she's alive puts a target on her back that never goes away." Sarah's hand flew to her mouth. "Oh God, Naomi, I didn't—" "You didn't know. Nobody knew. That was the point." Naomi set down her glass. "Sir, why are you really here? You could have sent Chen to handle this, or Hayes. You didn't need to come personally." Thompson was quiet for a moment. "I need to show you something, and I need to ask you a question. But first, I need everyone else to clear out except command-level personnel." Morrison's team started toward the door. "Not you, Lieutenant. You stay." Thompson pointed at Rodriguez. "You too, Sergeant. And you, Petty Officer Jenkins." The 3 SEALs froze. "Sir?" Morrison asked. "You started this tonight. You're going to help finish it." Hayes moved closer. "Admiral, what's going on?" Thompson pulled out his phone again, pulled up a different screen. Satellite imagery. Turned it so everyone could see. 3 days ago, 14 American aid workers were kidnapped from a medical compound in Yemen. Men, women, 2 children. The youngest is 8 years old. Naomi's hands stopped shaking. The group holding them is a splinter cell of Al-Qaeda. They've made demands. $50 million, release of imprisoned members, and one more thing. Thompson swiped to the next image, a video still. A young girl, maybe 9 years old, sitting in front of a camera. They want the world to know they have Corporal Rodriguez's daughter. Morrison's head snapped toward Rodriguez. "What?" Rodriguez's face had gone gray. "That's Isabella. My sister's kid. She was volunteering. Medical supplies. I told her not to go. I told her—" His voice broke. "The terrorists know she's your niece," Thompson continued. "They know you're SEAL Team 3. They're using her as leverage." Jenkins swore under his breath. Thompson swiped again. More hostages. A woman in her 60s, a man with gray hair, 2 younger men who looked barely out of college. Pentagon's assessment, 12% chance of successful rescue. Too risky, too many variables. State Department is negotiating. But we all know how negotiations go. "They'll execute them," Hayes said. "Use it for propaganda." "Yes." Naomi stepped closer, studied the satellite imagery. "What's the compound layout?" "That's the problem. It's a fortress. Stone walls, limited access points, high ground all around. Any air assault gets detected 15 minutes out. Any ground approach is exposed for half a mile. It's a kill box. Yes. Naomi zoomed in on the image,
Studied it with the focus of someone reading a blueprint. Guard rotations? Every 6 hours, approximately 40 fighters. Weapons? AK-47s, RPGs, at least 2 mounted machine guns. Hostage location? Best intel says basement level, stone construction, 1 exit. Naomi was quiet. Her finger traced patterns on the screen, calculating, analyzing, running scenarios that only someone with her experience could construct. It's not impossible, she said finally. The room leaned forward. But it requires operators who can think beyond conventional tactics, who can adapt, who can execute under conditions where one mistake means everyone dies. Operators like you, Thompson said. I haven't operated in 10 years, sir. You put Morrison on his face 2.3 seconds ago. That's not a skill that degrades. Morrison stepped forward, voice rough. That's my niece, Isabella. She's 9 years old. She plays soccer. Wants to be a doctor. She went to Yemen because she wanted to help people. He looked at Naomi. I was wrong tonight. About everything. About you. About who belongs where. About what makes someone a warrior. And I'm asking, no, I'm begging, if there's any chance you can help get her back, I'll do whatever it takes. Even if it's off the books? Naomi asked. Even if it's completely deniable? Even if you die and nobody ever knows why? Even then. Hayes nodded. Same. Rodriguez's voice cracked. Please. She's all my sister has left. Her husband died in Afghanistan. Isabella is everything. Naomi looked at Thompson. You're asking me to plan this? I'm asking you to do it. Plan it. Execute it. Lead it. I'm a civilian counselor. You're Viper 1. And those 14 people deserve the same chance you gave those 52 hostages in Mogadishu. Sarah grabbed Naomi's hand. You don't have to do this. You've given enough. You've sacrificed enough. You don't owe anyone. It's not about owing. Naomi pulled up the image of Isabella. 9 years old, dark hair, big eyes, scared. It's about the fact that she's the same age Rashid was. Who? Rashid, 8 years old, Mogadishu. I carried him 200 meters while 380 fighters tried to kill us. He kept saying, I'll be brave, miss. I'll be brave like you. Naomi's voice stayed steady, but something in her eyes said she was somewhere else. He's 18 now. Runs a school in Kabul, teaches girls to read. Last year he sent me a letter. Said I saved his life, so he's spending it saving others. She looked up from the phone. Isabella deserves that chance. They all do. Thompson set the phone on the bar. I need an answer. 72 hours until the deadline. That's barely enough time to plan, much less execute. How much support? Equipment, transportation, intelligence, whatever you need. But it's completely deniable. No Pentagon involvement, no official sanction. If this goes wrong, you were never there. Team? Thompson gestured to Morrison, Rodriguez, Jenkins. You've got these 3 if they volunteer, plus anyone else you can recruit in the next 6 hours. Naomi looked at Morrison. You tried to humiliate me tonight. I know. You grabbed me, disrespected me, treated me like I was nothing. I know. Why should I trust you with my life? Morrison met her eyes. Because I'll spend the rest of mine making up for it. Because Isabella doesn't deserve to die because her uncle was an asshole in a bar. Because
His voice cracked. Because you're better than me. You always were. And if I can't be that good, at least let me follow someone who is. The words hung there. Naomi turned to Hayes. You're active duty. This could end your career. Some things are worth the risk. Rodriguez? That's my niece, ma'am. My blood. I'd walk into hell for her. You might have to. Then I'll see you there. Jenkins cleared his throat. Ma'am, I know I don't have family in this, but I've got training, skills, and a real strong need to do something that matters, something bigger than myself. Naomi studied each of them. SEAL operators, trained, experienced, but young. So young compared to what was waiting in Yemen. If we do this, she said slowly, we do it my way. No cowboys, no glory-seeking. We go in smart, extract clean. Everyone comes home alive. Everyone, Morrison repeated. Everyone, including the hostages, including you, including me. No heroes, no last stands. We execute the plan, we adapt when it changes, and we bring everyone home. Yes, ma'am. Naomi picked up Thompson's phone, studied the imagery again. I'll need 6 hours to analyze this, build scenarios, identify vulnerabilities. Then I'll need 12 hours to brief and rehearse. That leaves 54 hours for execution. It'll have to be enough. Naomi looked at Sarah. I'm sorry. Sarah's eyes were wet. Don't apologize for being who you are. Just promise me you'll come back. I'll try. Not good enough. Promise me. Naomi pulled Sarah into a hug. I promise I'll do everything in my power to come home. That's all I can give you. Sarah held on tight. Then that'll have to be enough. Marcus came around the bar, extended his hand. You need anything? Gear, transport, safe house? You call me. Still got connections from my Fallujah days. Thank you. No, thank you for showing these kids what real service looks like. Thompson's phone buzzed. He checked it. I've got a secure facility 20 minutes from here. Everything you need. Satellite uplink, communications, planning space. We'll need weapons. Already sourced. 4 different loadouts. You pick what works. Medical? Full trauma kit, plus a field surgeon if you want one. I want Sarah. Everyone turned. Sarah's eyes went wide. What? No. I'm not. You're the best trauma surgeon I know. You can handle gunshot wounds, shrapnel, blood loss, and you won't panic under fire. I've never been under fire. You handle the ER when gang shootings come in. 3 victims. 4. All bleeding, all dying. You prioritize, you execute, you save who you can. Naomi gripped Sarah's shoulders. That's combat medicine. The only difference is the location. Naomi, I can't. I need you. Those hostages will need you. If someone gets hurt, I need someone I trust to save them. Sarah was shaking. This is insane. Yes. We could all die. Yes. And you still want me there? I need you there. Sarah took a breath, let it out slow. Okay. But if we survive this, you're going to therapy. Real therapy. Not the kind you give. The kind you get. Deal. Thompson checked his watch. We need to move. The longer we wait, the less time we have. Morrison stood. Sir, my team is coming with you. Full recall. I'll handle the paperwork. Hayes pulled out her phone. I know 4 more operators, good ones, discreet. They'll come if I ask. Ask, Naomi said. Rodriguez was already texting. I've got 2 friends, Marine Raiders. They owe me. Call in the debt. Jenkins. I know a pilot, former Night Stalker. He can get us in quiet. Get him. The bar transformed. No longer a place where people drank and forgot. Now it was an operations center. Phones out, calls being made, plans forming. Naomi stood in the center of it all. 10 years ago, she'd walked away from this, walked away from the chaos and adrenaline and constant threat of death. She'd chosen healing over hurting, chosen peace over war. But some battles choose you, and 9-year-old Isabella Rodriguez, sitting in a basement in Yemen, scared and alone, didn't get to choose any of this. All right. Naomi's voice cut through the noise. Everyone stopped, looked at her. Here's how this works. We've got 72 hours. First 6 hours I plan. Next 12 we rehearse. That leaves 54 for execution and extraction. Tight timeline, Hayes said. It's what we have, so we make it work. Naomi pulled up the satellite image again. This compound is designed to repel conventional assault, so we won't use conventional tactics. We'll use speed, deception, and the fact that they're expecting Delta or SEAL Team 6. They're not expecting a counselor and a bunch of volunteers, Morrison said. Exactly. They're preparing for an American military response, official channels, protocols. But that's not what we are. Naomi looked around the bar, at the faces watching her. We're ghosts. We don't exist, which means we can break every rule in the book. Rodriguez leaned forward. What's the plan? Right now, the plan is simple. Get to Thompson's facility, analyze the intel, build 3 scenarios: best case, worst case, probable case. Then we rehearse all 3 until you can execute them in your sleep. And then? And then we go get your niece back. The words settled over the group. Final. Committed. No turning back. Thompson headed for the door. I'll drive. Everyone else follows. And people? No phones from here on out. No calls, no texts. We go dark until this is over. Phones powered down, dropped into a bag Marcus provided. Naomi was the last to surrender hers. She powered it down, dropped it in, felt the weight of disconnection. No safety net now. No calling for help. No backup beyond whoever was in this room. Sarah stood beside her. I'm terrified. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. How do you do it? Stay calm when everything's falling apart. Naomi looked at her friend, her colleague, the woman who'd worked beside her for 4 years without knowing who she really was. I don't stay calm. I just act calm. There's a difference. What's the difference? Acting calm keeps other people from panicking. Actually being calm means you don't understand the danger. Sarah laughed, shaky, but real. That's not reassuring. It's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be honest. They walked toward the door, toward Thompson's waiting vehicle, toward whatever came next. Morrison fell into step beside them. Ma'am, I need to know, earlier tonight, when I grabbed you, were you holding back? Naomi glanced at him. What do you think? I think if you'd wanted to hurt me, I'd be in a hospital right now. Then you're smarter than I gave you credit for. They reached the door. Naomi stopped, looked back at the Iron Horse bar, at Marcus standing behind the counter, at the place where, 30 minutes ago, she'd been just a counselor grabbing a drink. Thank you, she said to Marcus. For what? For knowing. And for not saying anything. Marcus nodded once. Some secrets are worth keeping. But Naomi, this one needed to come out. Those people in Yemen, they need Viper 1, not the counselor, the operator. The operator died in Mogadishu. No, she just learned to save lives instead of taking them. But that doesn't mean she forgot how. Naomi stepped outside. Night air hit her face. Cool, crisp. The kind of night where anything could happen. Thompson's SUV waited, engine running, Hayes already in the passenger seat. Morrison, Rodriguez, Jenkins climbed into a second vehicle. Sarah hesitated at the door. Last chance to back out. We could just walk away. Let someone else handle this. Could you? Naomi asked. If Isabella came into your ER bleeding out, would you walk away? Of course not. Neither can I. She's bleeding in Yemen instead of Virginia, but she still needs help, and I'm the only one who knows how to stop the bleeding. They climbed in. Thompson pulled away from the curb. The Iron Horse bar disappeared in the rearview mirror, and Naomi Carter, counselor, healer, ghost, became Viper 1 again. Not because she wanted to, but because 9-year-old Isabella Rodriguez deserved a chance to grow up, deserved a chance to be brave, just like Rashid had been all those years ago in Mogadishu. The convoy drove into the night, headlights cutting through darkness, heading toward a facility that didn't exist on any map, heading toward a mission that would never appear in any record, heading toward Yemen and whatever waited there. The facility didn't look like much from outside. Abandoned warehouse, rust on the corrugated metal, weeds pushing through cracked pavement. But Thompson drove straight past the loading dock to a side entrance marked Authorized Personnel Only. Biometric scanner. Retinal check. Heavy steel doors sliding open. Inside was a different world. Tactical Operations Center. Bank of monitors showing satellite feeds. Communication arrays. Weapon racks. Medical station. Everything you'd need to plan and execute a mission that didn't officially exist. Naomi stepped out of the SUV, stood there, staring at equipment she hadn't seen in 10 years. Ma'am? Morrison's voice pulled her back. You okay? Fine. But she wasn't fine. Her hands had started shaking again. Not from fear. From memory. From muscle memory that remembered what all this equipment meant, what it led to, what it cost. Sarah touched her elbow. Naomi? I'm fine, Naomi repeated, forced her feet to move, walked toward the weapon racks. Rifles, sidearms, suppressors, flashbangs, everything she'd sworn she'd never touch again. Hayes was already examining the loadouts. HK-416s, Sig Sauer P-320S, standard Delta configuration. Someone knew what they were doing. I specified the equipment, Thompson said. Figured you'd want familiar tools. Naomi reached out, touched an HK-416. The metal felt cold, foreign, but her hand knew exactly how to grip it, how to check the action, how to field strip it in 15 seconds flat. She pulled her hand back, shoved it in her pocket. Rodriguez noticed. Ma'am, when's the last time you fired a weapon? 10 years, 3 months, 16 days. That's specific. I told you, I count everything. Morrison set down his gear. We need to know if you can still shoot. No offense, but this whole thing falls apart if... Range is in the back, Thompson interrupted. 25 meters, 50, 100, take your pick. Naomi didn't move. Couldn't, because touching that rifle meant accepting what she'd become again, meant stepping back into a world she'd spent 10 years trying to leave behind. I'll set up the satellite feeds, she said instead. Hayes, you handle weapons check. Morrison, start running team assessments. Rodriguez, I need current intel on guard rotations. Jenkins, find me the structural plans for that compound. Everyone moved, started working, except Sarah. You're avoiding this, Sarah said quietly. I'm prioritizing. You're scared. Naomi turned. Of course I'm scared. I'm terrified.
but I can be terrified and still do the job. Can you? Because right now, you won't even touch a rifle. I'll touch it when I need to. Right now, I need to think, plan, analyze. Naomi moved to the operations center, pulled up the satellite imagery Thompson had shown them, started examining it with the focused intensity of someone trying not to think about anything else. The compound sat in a valley, stone walls, courtyard, main building, outbuildings, guard towers, all the expected features. But something was wrong. Naomi zoomed in, enhanced the resolution, zoomed more. Hayes, come look at this. Hayes jogged over. What? This image. When was it taken? Hayes checked the metadata. 36 hours ago. Why? Look at the southwest corner. The wall. Hayes squinted. It's darker. Different stone. It's new. They've been modifying the compound. Naomi pulled up older satellite images, compared them. 3 weeks ago, that wall was original construction. 2 weeks ago, they started rebuilding it. Now, it's reinforced. They're fortifying. They know we're coming. Morrison looked up from his gear check. How? We just decided to do this an hour ago. They don't know about us specifically, but they know someone's coming. They took 14 American hostages. They issued demands. They're smart enough to prepare for rescue attempts. Rodriguez swore. That changes the tactical picture. It means every approach we plan needs to account for recent modifications. We can't trust the old floor plans. Can't trust the guard positions from last week's intel. Jenkins pulled up structural diagrams on another monitor. These plans are from 2019. The building's been standing since the 1960s. Original British construction, stone foundation, thick walls. Show me the basement. Jenkins highlighted it. Single level, 4 rooms, 1 stairwell, 1 exit. That's where they're keeping the hostages, Naomi said. Stone walls, only one way out. Easy to defend. Easy to trap, Hayes added. Naomi traced the layout with her finger. Running scenarios, calculating angles. We can't use the main entrance, too obvious. Can't use the windows, they'll be watching. Can't use the roof, too exposed. So how do we get in? We don't. Everyone stopped working, looked at her. What do you mean we don't? Morrison asked. I mean, we don't go to them. We make them come to us. Hayes shook her head. They're dug in. They're prepared. They're not going to just walk out. They will if they think the building's about to collapse. Silence. Rodriguez leaned forward. You want to blow the compound? I want to create the illusion that it's unstable. Make them think structural failure is imminent. When they evacuate the hostages, we hit them in the open. That's insane, Jenkins said. That's why it might work. Thompson had been listening from across the room. The Pentagon considered that approach, rejected it. Too many variables, too much risk to the hostages. The Pentagon was planning a conventional assault. Fire, escasions, chaos. I'm talking about something more subtle. Naomi pulled up the geological survey data. This valley sits on a fault line. Minor seismic activity is common. If we can create vibrations that mimic an earthquake, make the building shake just enough. They evacuate thinking it's natural disaster, Hayes finished, not an attack. Exactly. They bring the hostages up from the basement, into the courtyard, away from the building, and that's when we move. Morrison was nodding now. Hit them when they're focused on the earthquake, when their attention is divided. But how do we create an earthquake? Rodriguez asked. We don't need a real earthquake, just the right vibrations in the right frequency. There's equipment that can do that. Seismic testing gear. Oil exploration tools. Thompson pulled out his phone, started typing. I can source that, but it'll take time to get it to Yemen. How much time? 48 hours minimum.
Naomi checked her watch. We have 71 hours until the deadline. If the equipment takes 48 to arrive, that leaves 23 hours for setup and execution.
That's cutting it close, Hayes said.
Close is all we've got.
Sarah had been quiet. Now she spoke up.
What if they don't evacuate? What if they decide to ride out the earthquake inside? Then we go to Plan B. Which is? I'm working on it.
Naomi turned back to the monitors, started pulling up more data. Guard counts, weapon inventories, probable defensive positions. Her mind processed it all, built scenarios, tested them, discarded the ones that got people killed. Behind her, Morrison approached Hayes, spoke quietly, but Naomi heard anyway.
She's different from the reports, the mission briefings. They made her sound like some kind of machine, ruthless, efficient. But she's human, Hayes finished. She always was. That's what they don't tell you in the briefings.
The best operators aren't machines. They're people who understand the cost and do it anyway.
She's scared.
Of course she's scared. She died. Literally died. And now she's going back to the place that killed her. Morrison was quiet for a moment.
You think she can do this? Really?
Hayes looked at Naomi, at the way she studied the screens with absolute focus. I think she's the only one who can. Naomi pulled up a new file. Froze. Her hand stopped moving. What is it? Thompson asked. The hostage list. There are 15 names here.
14 were taken. I said 14.
This file shows 15. Naomi opened it, read.
The 15th is listed as Daniel Chen, age 43, occupation medical supply coordinator.
That's the cover story. His real name is Daniel Chen. His real occupation is CIA field operative. The room went silent. Rodriguez stood up.
You sent us after CIA personnel? Sir, that changes everything. This isn't a rescue mission.
This is both, Thompson interrupted.
Chen was embedded with the aid workers, deep cover.
When they got taken, he got taken.
And he knows things. Critical intelligence about operations in Yemen, Saudi Arabia, the entire region. If the hostages get executed, Chen gets executed with them.
And the intelligence dies with him, Hayes said.
Or worse, they torture him first, extract what he knows, use it against us.
Morrison's face had gone red.
Sir, with all due respect, my niece is in that basement, and you're telling me this is also about protecting a CIA spook?
Your niece is the priority, but Chen is there too, and we're not leaving anyone behind.
Did the Pentagon reject this mission because of the risk to the aid workers, or because they didn't want to risk a CIA operative for civilian lives?
Thompson's jaw tightened.
Both. The accusation hung in the air, that Isabella and the other hostages were expendable, that only Chen mattered.
Naomi turned from the screens.
It doesn't matter. 15 hostages or 14, CIA operative or civilians. We extract all of them, or none of them. That's the mission.
Easy for you to say, Morrison shot back. That's not your family down there.
No, it's not. But I've carried enough dead children to last a lifetime. I'm not adding Isabella to that count.
The rawness in her voice stopped Morrison cold. Sarah moved closer.
Naomi, you don't have to.
Yes, I do. Naomi pulled up the file photo of Daniel Chen, studied it.
CIA operative, embedded deep cover, which means he's trained, armed, capable.
So? Rodriguez asked.
So he might be the only thing keeping those hostages alive. If the terrorists suspect he's CIA, they'll execute him immediately. But if he's maintaining cover, playing the scared civilian, he's buying time.
Jenkins nodded slowly.
And if we can make contact with him before we execute, he can help from the inside.
Thompson was already on his phone. I can get you a secure channel. Drop him a message that looks like random supply chain communication, but he'll recognize the code.
Do it. But keep it vague. We don't know if they're monitoring communications. Hayes pulled Naomi aside. Can I speak freely? Always. You're building a plan that requires precision timing, equipment that might not arrive on schedule, a CIA operative who might be compromised,
And a team that's never worked together before. The variables are stacking up.
I know.
And you're okay with that?
No, but I've executed missions with worse odds.
Mogadishu. Naomi nodded. Hayes lowered her voice.
What aren't you telling us about that mission? The reports say you held off 380 fighters, but they don't say how. They don't explain how one operator survived when 7 died. Because explaining it would mean admitting what I did, the choices I made, the lines I crossed.
What lines? Naomi met her eyes.
Every line there is.
Before Hayes could respond, Thompson's phone rang. He answered, listened.
His face went pale. When? Pause. Are you certain? Pause. Understood.
He ended the call, looked at Naomi. The deadline just moved up. The terrorists issued a new video. They're executing one hostage in 24 hours unless demands are met. The room exploded. Rodriguez.
24 hours? That's not enough time! Morrison. The equipment won't even arrive. Jenkins. We can't plan and execute in 24 hours.
Thompson held up his hand.
There's more. They specified which hostage. They're executing the youngest first.
Rodriguez collapsed into a chair.
Isabella. Sarah's hand flew to her mouth. Naomi stood perfectly still, not moving, barely breathing, her mind racing through scenarios, calculating, adjusting, finding options where none existed. We leave in 6 hours, she said.
Everyone turned. Ma'am, the equipment, Hayes started.
Forget the equipment. We go with what we have. Rifles, sidearms, flashbangs. We adapt the plan.
To what?
Direct assault. Fast, hard, before they know we're there.
Morrison stood.
That's suicide. It's the only option. We can't wait for the seismic equipment. Can't wait for perfect intelligence. Can't wait for ideal conditions. Isabella has 24 hours.
By the time we travel to Yemen, establish position,
That's 18 hours. We have one shot. We take it.
Hayes pulled up the satellite imagery again. Direct assault on a fortified compound. 40 fighters. Hostages in the basement.
Ma'am, the casualty projections, I don't care about projections. I care about Isabella walking out of that basement alive.
Thompson stepped forward.
Naomi, I can't authorize this. The risk is too high. We need to wait for State Department negotiation.
They won't negotiate. They want to make an example. 9-year-old American girl executed on camera. Maximum propaganda value. Then we wait for Delta, SEAL Team 6, someone with support infrastructure.
They'll take a week to plan. Isabella will be dead in 24 hours.
So will you if you go in unprepared.
Naomi's voice dropped, became very quiet. I've been unprepared before. I survived. Barely. You died twice on that medevac. And they brought me back.
They don't have that luxury in Yemen. The two of them stood facing each other, Thompson with the authority of rank, Naomi with the weight of experience.
I can't stop you, Thompson said finally. This is volunteer, unofficial. But I'm asking you to reconsider. Wait. Plan properly. Waiting is a plan. Sometimes it's the right plan, but not today. Today, we move.
She turned to the team.
Anyone who wants out, leave now. No judgment, no shame.
This is above and beyond anything you signed up for. Nobody moved. Rodriguez stood.
That's my niece.
Morrison. I'm in.
Hayes, you'll need command support.
Jenkins. And a pilot.
Sarah's voice shook, but stayed steady. And a surgeon.
Naomi nodded once.
Then we start prep. Hayes, I need current guard rotations. Best guess on defensive positions. Morrison, check weapons. Full combat load for 6 operators. Rodriguez, pull every piece of intel we have on that compound.
Jenkins, file the flight plan. Civilian cargo, medical supplies. We land at the nearest airstrip and travel overland.
That's 60 miles from the compound, Jenkins said.
Then we cover 60 miles. Sarah, review trauma protocols. Gunshot wounds, shrapnel, blood loss, everything.
Sarah swallowed hard. Okay.
And someone find me a range. I need to know if I can still shoot. Hayes pointed to a door at the back. Through there, Thompson had it set up. Naomi walked to the weapon racks, picked up an HK-416. The weight felt familiar. Terrifying. Right. She checked the action, loaded a magazine. 30 rounds. Everyone watched as she walked to the range door, stopped, took a breath.
Naomi?
Sarah's voice, concerned.
I'm fine. You're shaking. I know.
Naomi opened the door, stepped into the range. 25-meter targets, 50, 100, all waiting. She raised the rifle, sighted. Her hands shook, finger on the trigger. Squeezed. The shot went wide, missed the target completely. She lowered the weapon, breathed, raised it again, missed again. Third shot, fourth, fifth, all wide, all off target. Behind her, she heard Morrison whisper to Hayes, "She can't shoot. This whole thing's going to fall apart." Naomi heard him, kept firing. Sixth shot, seventh, missed, missed. The magazine ran dry. 30 rounds, 0 hits. She stood there, rifle lowered, staring at the untouched targets. 10 years ago, she could have put all 30 rounds through a target the size of a fist, at 100 meters, in the dark, with suppressors. Now she couldn't hit paper at 25 meters in perfect light. Sarah stepped into the range, walked up behind her.
It's okay. No, it's not. How am I supposed to lead this mission if I can't even... The rifle's not the problem. Then what is?
Sarah gently took the weapon, set it down, turned Naomi around. Your hands are shaking because you're trying to be someone you're not anymore. You're trying to be Viper 1, the operator who killed 143 people. But that's not who you are.
It's who I need to be. For Isabella. For the others.
No. You need to be Naomi Carter. The woman who saves lives, who protects people, who carries children out of danger. Viper 1 was about killing, but this mission? It's about saving. And you're the best at saving I've ever seen. Naomi's eyes were wet.
What if I can't do both?
You won't have to, because you're not going in alone this time. You've got Hayes, Morrison, Rodriguez, Jenkins, me. You don't have to kill everyone. You just have to get us in, get the hostages out, and get us home.
And if it goes wrong? If people die?
Then they die knowing they tried, knowing they stood up, knowing they refused to let a 9-year-old girl get executed because someone decided she wasn't worth the risk. Naomi wiped her eyes, picked up the rifle, loaded a fresh magazine.
One more try,
she said. Sarah stepped back. Naomi raised the weapon. This time she didn't think about Mogadishu,
Didn't think about the 143 kills. Didn't think about being Viper 1. She thought about Isabella, 9 years old, scared, alone, waiting for someone to come. She fired. Center mass. Perfect shot. Fired again. Again. 30 rounds. 29 hits. 1 miss. She lowered the rifle, looked at Sarah. "Okay," Naomi said. "I can do this." They walked back to the operations center. Morrison looked up, saw Naomi's expression. Didn't say anything. Hayes had the guard rotations pulled up. Best estimate, 12 guards during day shift, 16 at night. They rotate every 6 hours. Change happens at 600, 1200, 1800, and midnight local time. "We hit them during a shift change. Guards are distracted. Protocols break down for 15 minutes. Which shift change?" Naomi checked the timeline. "We land at 16:30 local time, reach the compound by 1945. That puts us 25 minutes before the 1800 shift change." "You want to wait 25 minutes outside a terrorist compound?" "I want to hit them when they're most vulnerable. 25 minutes is the price." Rodriguez had pulled up the intel on Chen. "If we can make contact, confirm he's operational, he could help during the chaos." Thompson's phone buzzed. He checked it, nodded. Message sent. Coded supply chain update. If Chen's monitoring communications, he'll know help is coming. "But not when," Naomi said. "We can't risk specifics." Jenkins returned with flight plans. "We're cleared. Civilian cargo aircraft. Medical supplies for refugee camps. Nobody'll look twice. But we need to leave in 4 hours to make the window." "Then we have 4 hours to get ready." Naomi looked at each of them. "Final equipment check, medical review, tactical briefing, then we go." Sarah pulled her aside. "You're really doing this?" "I'm really doing this. Even though you're scared?" "Especially because I'm scared. Fear means I understand the cost, means I won't take unnecessary risks." "Promise me something." "What?" "Promise me if it goes wrong, if it's between saving the hostages and saving yourself, you'll choose yourself." Naomi was quiet. "Naomi, promise me." "I can't. You know I can't." Sarah's hands gripped hers. "Then promise me you'll try. Try to come home." "I'll try." It was all she could offer, all she had to give. The next 4 hours passed in controlled chaos, gear checks, medical reviews, tactical briefings. Naomi walked them through the plan. 3 phases: infiltration, extraction, exfiltration. Morrison asked questions, good ones, about contingencies, backup plans. What happens if the guards don't rotate on schedule? Hayes challenged the approach vectors, suggested alternatives, made the plan better. Rodriguez studied the hostage photos, memorizing faces, making it personal. Jenkins coordinated with the pilot, flight path, landing zone, emergency protocols. And Sarah packed medical supplies with the focused efficiency of someone preparing for war. Thompson watched it all. Didn't interfere, just provided resources, intelligence, support. At hour 3, he pulled Naomi aside. "I was there," he said quietly. "Where?" "Mogadishu. I was the JSOC liaison. I'm the one who told your team to hold position, who said extraction was 12 hours out, who promised backup that never came." Naomi looked at him, really looked, saw the guilt, the weight, the decade of carrying responsibility for what happened. "You didn't pull the trigger," she said. "I might as well have. I sent you in with bad intelligence, told you it was light resistance, told you backup was close. All of it was wrong." "Intelligence is always wrong. That's why we adapt. 7 operators died because I was wrong. 7 operators died because 380 terrorists opened fire. You didn't kill them. You didn't make the call to execute the mission. You did your job. And 7 people died. And 52 lived, because my team executed anyway, because we adapted, because we refused to quit. Thompson's voice cracked. Walsh died in your arms. I know. I was there. His last words, what were they? Naomi had never told anyone, never shared that moment. But standing there, looking at Thompson carrying 10 years of guilt, she decided he deserved to know. He said, "Get them out. Promise me you'll get them out." He meant the hostages. He died asking me to save people he'd never met. And I promised him I would. And you did? Yes. But it cost everything. And now you're doing it again. Because 9-year-old girls shouldn't be executed for propaganda. Because Isabella deserves better. Because I made a promise 10 years ago to always protect the innocent. And that promise doesn't expire. Thompson's hand shook as he pulled something from his pocket. A challenge coin. Delta Force. This was Walsh's. His family gave it to me at the funeral. Asked me to hold it until I could give it to you. But you'd disappeared. Gone civilian. I've been carrying it for 10 years. He pressed it into Naomi's hand. Bring it home. Bring yourself home. And bring those hostages home. Naomi's fingers closed around the coin. I'll try. That's all anyone can ask. The final hour arrived. Equipment loaded, flight plan filed, team assembled. They stood in the operations center, 6 people about to attempt something the Pentagon had declared impossible. Morrison, with his niece's photo clutched in his hand. Rodriguez, with determination replacing fear. Hayes, with the calm of someone who'd made peace with the risk. Jenkins, with his pilot headset already on. Sarah with medical supplies and courage she didn't know she possessed. And Naomi, with a dead man's challenge coin, a rifle she could barely shoot, and a promise made 10 years ago in the blood and chaos of Mogadishu. Wheels up in 30 minutes, Jenkins announced. Thompson stood at attention, rendered a salute. Godspeed, Viper 1. Naomi returned it. We'll see you on the other side. They walked to the waiting aircraft. Civilian cargo plane. Plane exterior. Interior modified for tactical operations. Seats, equipment, space for hostages on the return flight. If there was a return flight. Naomi climbed aboard last, stood in the doorway, looked back at Thompson. He gave a single nod. She stepped inside. The door closed, sealed them in. The engines started, built to a roar, and the plane carrying 6 people toward either salvation or death rolled toward the runway. Isabella Rodriguez had 18 hours left. The countdown had begun. The plane hit turbulence 40 minutes into the flight. Sarah's knuckles went white, gripping the armrest. Her breathing came fast, shallow. Naomi leaned over. First time flying tactical? First time flying into a war zone, yes. It's not a war zone, it's a rescue mission. That involves armed terrorists and possible death. That's a war zone. The plane bucked again, harder. Sarah's hand found Naomi's, gripped tight. Breathe, Naomi said. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Like you're coaching a patient through panic. I am panicking. I know. But you're also a surgeon. You've held beating hearts in your hands. You've kept people alive when they should have died. This is just a different operating room. Sarah tried to smile, failed. Operating rooms don't have turbulence. No, but they have complications. unexpected bleeding, equipment failures, times when everything goes wrong and you have to adapt. This is the same thing.
Morrison sat across from them, staring at his phone. The screen showed Isabella's photo. He'd been looking at it for 20 minutes straight. Hayes moved up the aisle, sat beside him. "You need to eat something." "Not hungry." "Didn't ask if you were hungry. You need calories, hydration. You're going into combat in 16 hours. Your body needs fuel." Morrison didn't look up. "How do you do it? Stay calm when everything's falling apart." "I don't stay calm. I just pretend better than most people." "That's what Naomi said. Because it's true. We're all scared. The ones who admit it last longer than the ones who pretend they're not." Morrison finally looked at Hayes. "What if we're too late? What if they've already—" "They haven't. They announced 24 hours. They want maximum media coverage. They'll wait until the deadline to make their point." "And if we fail? If we can't get her out?" Hayes was quiet for a moment. "Then we fail knowing we tried. That we refused to let them win without a fight. But we're not going to fail." "How can you be sure?" "Because Viper 1 is planning this operation. And she doesn't lose." Rodriguez sat in the back, laptop open, reviewing the compound layout for the 100th time. Jenkins dropped into the seat beside him. "You need to sleep," Jenkins said. "Can't. Every time I close my eyes, I see Isabella. Scared. Alone. Wondering why nobody's coming for her." "We are coming for her." "But what if it's not enough? What if Naomi's plan doesn't work? What if—" Rodriguez's phone buzzed. Message notification. He checked it. The color drained from his face. "What?" Jenkins asked. Rodriguez showed him the screen. Message from his sister, Maria, Isabella's mother. "Please tell me you're not doing what I think you're doing. Please tell me you're not risking your life for a mission the Pentagon already rejected. I can't lose you both. Please." "She knows," Rodriguez whispered. "How does she know?" "Thompson probably told her. Gave her a choice. Let her son go on a suicide mission, or try to stop him." "I have to reply. Tell her I'm okay." "You reply, you confirm it. She'll try harder to stop you. Maybe contact the Pentagon. Get the mission shut down." Rodriguez stared at the message, finger hovering over the reply button. "What do I do?" Jenkins took the phone, powered it down. "You focus on getting Isabella back. Your sister will understand. Eventually. But right now, she's a distraction you can't afford." "That's cold." "That's survival." Naomi stood, moved to the equipment bay, started checking rifles, magazines, suppressors. Hayes joined her. "You checking the equipment again?" Hayes said. "4th time." "Want to make sure everything works." "Everything worked the first 3 times. What you're really doing is avoiding thinking about what comes next." Naomi didn't deny it. "You read the after-action report from Mogadishu. You know how it ended. Walsh died because I couldn't get to him fast enough. 6 others died because I made the wrong call about which route to take out of the compound. You also saved 52 people. I should have saved 59. You can't save everyone." "I know, but that doesn't stop me from trying." Hayes picked up a magazine, checked it. Perfect load. "You know what's different this time?" "What?" "You're not alone. Mogadishu, you had 7 operators. 6 died in the first 30 minutes. You held that compound alone for 19 hours. But tonight, you've got a full team. We've got your back." Naomi's hands stopped moving. "Hayes, I need to tell you something. About Mogadishu. About what I did to survive." "You killed 143 people." "I did more than kill them." Hayes waited. "The ammunition ran out after hour 12.
I had 40 rounds left.
320 fighters still attacking. I couldn't shoot my way out, so I adapted. How? I used their dead, positioned bodies to create firing positions, made them think I had more people than I did, moved bodies every 20 minutes to make them think reinforcements had arrived. Hayes's expression didn't change. That's tactical thinking. That's desecration. I used corpses as props, as psychological weapons. I crossed lines that kept you alive, that saved 52 hostages. That's what matters. But it changes you. Using the dead as tools? It makes you question whether you're still human, or just another weapon. You're human. The fact that it bothers you proves it. Weapons don't feel guilt. The plane bucked again, harder. Warning light flashed. Jenkins rushed to the cockpit. Came back 60 seconds later, face tight. We've got a problem. Everyone turned. Hydraulic system. Pressure's dropping. Pilot says we can make it to the landing zone, but it's going to be rough. Morrison stood. How rough? Emergency landing rough. Hard impact. Possible equipment damage. Can we divert? Hayes asked. Land somewhere safer? Nearest friendly airstrip is 200 miles back. We'd lose 6 hours. Isabella doesn't have 6 hours. Naomi made the call. We continue. Tell the pilot to get us down, whatever it takes. Jenkins hesitated. Ma'am, if the landing gear fails, then we crash. But we crash in Yemen. Close enough to execute the mission on foot if we have to. We don't turn back. Yes, ma'am. Jenkins returned to the cockpit. The rest of them started securing equipment, tightening straps, preparing for impact. Sarah looked at Naomi. Are we going to die? Not if the pilot's any good. That's not reassuring. It's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be honest. The plane started descending. Too fast. The landing gear deployed. Groaned. One of the hydraulic lines was definitely compromised. Morrison gripped his seat. This is insane. Rodriguez next to him. Your first combat landing? My first crash landing. There's a difference? Not really. The ground rushed up. The pilot fought the controls, fought the hydraulics, fought physics itself. They hit hard. Wheels screamed. The plane bounced. Hit again. Something in the landing gear shattered. The plane listed left. Kept going. The brakes engaged, barely working. They slid. 200 feet. 300. The runway ran out. They hit dirt, kept sliding, finally stopped 50 feet from a perimeter fence. Silence. Then Jenkins's voice from the cockpit. We're down. Everyone okay? Sound off. Morrison, Hayes, Rodriguez, Naomi, Sarah, all accounted for. The rear cargo door dropped. Desert air rushed in. Hot, dry. Familiar in a way Naomi hadn't felt in 10 years. They grabbed gear, moved out. A vehicle waited. Civilian cargo truck, local plates. A man stood beside it. 30s. Local clothing. Weathered face. You are the medical team? He asked in accented English. Yes, Naomi replied. You're our contact? I am Khalid. I guide you to distribution point. The cover story. Medical supplies for refugee camps. But Khalid's eyes said he knew better. Knew what they really were. What they'd come to do. They loaded equipment into the truck. Morrison kept his rifle close. Hayes watched Khalid with suspicion. How far to the compound? Naomi asked. 40 kilometers. Bad roads. 2 hours, maybe. We need to be there in 90 minutes. Khalid shook his head. Roads are not safe. Checkpoints. Militia patrols. Then we avoid them. Find another route. Other routes are worse. Mountains. No roads. Then we take the mountains. Khalid studied her. You are not medical worker.
No.
You are here for the hostages.
Yes.
Many people want those hostages. You are not first to try.
What happened to the others? They died, quickly, painfully. Morrison stepped forward. One of those hostages is my niece, 9 years old. I'm not leaving her there. Khalid's expression softened slightly. The girl, yes, I have seen the videos. They use her to break her mother's heart. Then help us get her back. I am helping. I bring you this far, but I do not go closer. The compound, it has eyes everywhere. They will know you are coming. Let them know, Naomi said. We're coming anyway. They climbed into the truck. Khalid drove. The roads were exactly as bad as he'd warned. Potholes, washouts, stretches where the road disappeared entirely. 40 minutes in, they hit a checkpoint. Militia. 4 fighters with AKs. Khalid slowed. Stopped. Let me talk, he said. You be quiet. The fighters approached. One peered into the back, saw the equipment. The Americans. His hand moved to his weapon. Khalid spoke fast in Arabic, pointed at documents. Medical supplies, refugee camps, official permits. The fighter wasn't buying it. He barked an order. The others raised their weapons. Hayes's hand moved toward her sidearm. Morrison tensed. Don't, Naomi whispered. Let it play out. The fighter demanded they get out, all of them, stand where he could see them. They complied, slowly, hands visible. The fighter walked down the line, stopped at Sarah, spoke to her in broken English. You are a doctor? Yes, I'm a surgeon. You treat fighters? Al-Qaeda? Sarah hesitated. I treat anyone who needs help. Good answer. The fighter smiled, not friendly, predatory. My brother needs doctor. You come with us. No, Naomi said. The fighter swung his rifle toward her. I did not ask you. I don't care. She's with us. She's not going anywhere. The fighter's finger moved to the trigger. His companions raised their weapons, aimed at the team. Khalid shouted something, urgent, pointed at his phone, showed the fighters something on the screen. Whatever it was, changed everything. The fighters lowered their weapons, stepped back, waved them through. They climbed back into the truck. Khalid drove, fast now, putting distance between them and the checkpoint. What did you show them? Hayes asked. Video, the execution announcement. I tell them you are journalists, coming to film, to show the world what happens to Americans who interfere. And they believed that? They want the world to see, want the fear. They let you pass because they think you will make them famous. Rodriguez swore. We just got lucky. Luck runs out, Morrison said. Next checkpoint might not be so easy. Then we avoid the next checkpoint. Khalid turned off the main road, onto a track that barely qualified as a path. This way. No checkpoints. But also no road. Very road. Rough was an understatement. The truck bounced, lurched, scraped over rocks. Naomi checked her watch. They'd been traveling for 70 minutes, only 20 minutes to reach the compound. Khalid pushed the truck harder. The engine protested, the suspension screamed. They crested a ridge, and the valley opened before them. There, the compound. Stone walls, guard towers, exactly as the satellite photos showed. Khalid stopped. This is far as I go. You walk from here. 3 kilometers, maybe less. The truck, Morrison started. Too loud. They will hear engine. You must walk. They grabbed gear, checked weapons. Naomi pulled out a wad of cash, handed it to Khalid. For your trouble. Khalid pushed it back. I do this not for money. I do this because children should not die for politics. You save the girl. You tell her Khalid helped. You tell her there are good people here, not all monsters. I'll tell her. Khalid drove away. The sound of the engine faded. They were alone. 6 people, 3 kilometers from a fortress holding 15 hostages. Naomi checked her watch. 17:43 local time. 17 minutes until the 1800 guard shift change. We move fast, stay low, single file. I'll take point. They moved. The terrain was rough, rocky, exposed. Every step felt like it took too long. Every noise felt too loud. Morrison's foot hit a loose rock. It tumbled down the slope, clattered, echoed. Everyone froze. Waited. No response from the compound. They kept moving. 10 minutes. 2 kilometers left. Hayes spotted movement. Contact left, 200 meters. Naomi dropped to a knee, raised her rifle, sighted through the scope. 2 fighters, walking a perimeter patrol. Hadn't seen them yet. They're early, Rodriguez whispered. Patrol wasn't supposed to start until 1800. They changed the schedule. Naomi's voice stayed calm, but her mind raced. If the patrol schedule changed, the guard rotation might have changed too. The 15-minute window they were counting on might not exist. What do we do? Morrison asked. We adapt. Naomi watched the patrol, tracked their movement, waited for them to pass. 30 seconds. 45. Clear. Move. They continued, faster now. The compound grew closer, close enough to see the guards in the towers, close enough to hear voices carrying across the valley. Naomi's phone buzzed. Encrypted message. She checked it. From Thompson. 3 words. Chen is compromised. Her stomach dropped. Morrison saw her expression. What? Chen. The CIA operative. They know what he is. How do you know? Thompson just sent word. Intelligence intercept. Chen's cover is blown. Hayes processed the implications. If they know he's CIA, they'll be expecting a rescue. They'll have reinforcements, extra security. Or they'll have already executed him, Rodriguez added. Made an example. Naomi pulled up the satellite feed on her phone. The compound. She zoomed in, enhanced. The courtyard. Movement. Guards assembling. More than usual. Way more than usual. Count them, she said to Hayes. Hayes counted. 23, maybe 25. That's triple the normal guard presence. They're ready for us. Morrison's voice went tight. We're walking into a trap. Maybe. Maybe. Ma'am, if they know we're coming, then we don't give them what they're expecting. Naomi checked her watch. 17:56. 4 minutes until the guard rotation. Except the rotation might not happen. The schedule had changed. The guards had tripled. Everything they'd planned for had just gone out the window. Sarah moved closer. Naomi, we can't do this. Not with those numbers. We need to fall back. Call for backup. There is no backup. We're it. Then we're dead. All of us, including Isabella. Naomi stared at the compound, at the guards, at the tower positions, at the walls she'd studied for hours. Walsh's challenge coin pressed against her chest. The one Thompson had carried for 10 years. The one that represented a promise to get people out, to save the innocent, to never quit. We're not dead, she said. We're just operating blind. It's not ideal, but it's not impossible. How? Morrison demanded. How do we rescue 15 hostages from a compound with 25 guards who know we're coming? We don't rescue them from the compound. Everyone stared at her. We make them bring the hostages to us.
Hayes shook her head. They're not going to just walk them out. They will if they think the compound is about to be destroyed. Rodriguez understood first. The seismic equipment, the fake earthquake. But that equipment's still in Virginia. We don't need the equipment. We just need them to think the building's unstable. How? Naomi pointed to the compound's northwest corner, where the wall had been recently rebuilt. That wall, new construction, different stone, different mortar. It's the weakest point. So we hit it. Small charges, strategic placement. Make it crack. Make it look like structural failure. Make them think the whole building's coming down. Morrison was nodding now. They evacuate, bring the hostages up from the basement, into the courtyard. And we hit them there, in the open, where we have the advantage. With 6 people against 25 guards? With surprise, speed, and the fact that they'll be focused on the building, not on us. Hayes pulled out her tablet, pulled up the compound layout. If we place charges here, here, and here, we create a cascade effect. Makes it look like progressive structural failure. How much explosive do we have? Naomi asked. Jenkins checked their gear. 4 breaching charges. Not enough for a real demolition, but maybe enough to make it look dangerous. That's all we need. Perception, not reality. Rodriguez checked his rifle. When do we move? Naomi checked her watch. 17:58. 2 minutes until what should have been the guard rotation. 2 minutes until they found out if the plan was going to work. We set the charges in 30 minutes, detonate at 18:45. That gives them 15 minutes to evacuate before the 1900 shift change. Maximum chaos, minimum time to organize a defense. And if they don't evacuate? Sarah asked. Then we adapt again. But they'll evacuate. Nobody wants to be inside a building that's collapsing. Even if it's not really collapsing? They don't know that. All they'll know is the walls are cracking, the building's shaking, and their prisoners are in the basement of a structure that might bury them alive. Morrison stood, checked his weapon. My niece is in that basement. If this goes wrong, we die trying. But we don't leave her there. No, we don't. They moved into position. Hayes and Jenkins circled left, headed for the northwest wall. Morrison and Rodriguez took the right flank, set up firing positions. Naomi and Sarah stayed center, eyes on the compound, watching, waiting. Naomi's phone buzzed again. Message from Thompson. Guard rotation confirmed at 1900. Your window is active. So the rotation hadn't changed completely, just shifted. 25 guards now, but still rotating at the scheduled time. That was something. Not much, but something. Hayes's voice crackled through the comms. In position, northwest wall, ready to place charges. Jenkins, perimeter secure, no patrols in immediate area. Morrison, firing position established. Clear sidelines to courtyard. Rodriguez. Same. Waiting on your signal. Naomi took a breath. This was it. The point of no return. Once those charges blew, everyone in a 10-mile radius would know they were there. There'd be no stealth, no subtlety, just chaos and gunfire and desperate hope that they could get 15 hostages out before everyone died. Sarah gripped Naomi's arm. Promise me something. What? If it comes down to saving me or saving Isabella, you choose Isabella. Sarah, promise me. I'm just a surgeon. She's a 9-year-old girl. The choice should be easy. The choice is never easy. But you'll make it anyway. Promise me you'll make the right one. Naomi looked at her friend, the woman who'd worked beside her for 4 years, who'd come to Yemen on nothing but faith and friendship. I promise, Sarah nodded, released her grip. Then let's go get that girl back. Naomi keyed the comms. All positions, stand by for execute order.
She checked her watch. 18:29. 16 minutes until the charges blew. 16 minutes until everything went to hell. 16 minutes until they found out if Viper 1 still had what it took to do the impossible, or if this time the impossible would finally break her. The 16 minutes crawled, each second stretched into eternity. Naomi watched the compound through her scope, counted guards, tracked movement, calculated odds that kept getting worse. Hayes's voice crackled. "Charges set, 3 points on the northwest wall, ready to detonate on your mark." "Copy, stand by." Sarah knelt beside Naomi, hands steady now. The shaking had stopped. Combat focus had taken over. "When this starts, where do you need me?" "Center position, between Morrison and Rodriguez. You'll have clear sight lines to the courtyard. When they bring out the hostages, you identify injuries. Prioritize who needs immediate care." "And if they don't bring them out?" "They will." But Naomi's voice carried doubt. Sarah heard it. "You're not sure?" "I'm never sure. I just act like I am." Morrison's voice cut in. "Movement, northeast tower. Guards pointing at something." Naomi swung her scope. The guard was gesturing, talking into a radio, looking toward their position. "We're compromised," Hayes said. "They see us." "Negative. If they'd spotted us, they'd be shooting. He's pointing at something else." Rodriguez zoomed his scope. "Vehicle approaching, from the east. Looks civilian." A truck crested the ridge, headed straight for the compound. Khalid's truck. "What the hell?" Morrison breathed. "That's our transport. What's he doing?" The truck didn't slow, didn't stop, drove straight at the compound gates, horn blaring. The guards scrambled, raised weapons, shouted warnings. The truck kept coming. "He's ramming the gate," Jenkins said. "He's going to—" The truck hit. Explosion. Massive. The gates blew inward, fire and smoke and twisted metal. Khalid had packed the truck with explosives, driven it straight into the compound, sacrificed himself. The guards opened fire. Too late. The truck was already burning. Naomi's mind raced. Khalid had just changed everything. The guards were scrambling, focused on the gate, the front entrance. "New plan. We go now. Hayes, detonate charges. All teams move to backup positions. We're hitting them from behind while they're focused front." "But the timing," Hayes started. "Forget the timing. Khalid just gave us an opening. We take it. Detonate. Now!" 3 explosions. Sequential. The northwest wall cracked. Chunks of stone fell. The damage looked catastrophic. Inside the compound, chaos. Guards running toward the burning gate, others running from the collapsing wall. No coordination, no organization. Perfect. "Morrison, Rodriguez, suppressing fire on the tower guards. Hayes, Jenkins, move to the wall breach. Sarah, with me. We're going through that hole." They moved. Fast. Professional. The breach opened before them, 3 feet wide. Just enough. Hayes went first, rifle up, scanning. "Clear." Jenkins. "Clear." Naomi and Sarah pushed through. The courtyard opened up. 20 yards across, guards everywhere but none looking their direction, all focused on the gate, on Khalid's burning truck, on the bodies. Khalid had killed himself to give them this chance. "Basement entrance, east side, move." They crossed the courtyard, staying low, using smoke and confusion as cover. Reached the building. The door stood open, stone steps leading down into darkness. Naomi went first, rifle raised, finger on trigger. Down the steps. 1, 2, 5, 10. The basement opened before her. 4 rooms, just like the floor plan showed. The first 3 were empty. Equipment, supplies. No people. The 4th room, locked.
Heavy door. Naomi tried the handle. Solid. "Breaching charge," she said to Hayes. Hayes placed it. Small, precise. "Clear back." The explosion blew the lock. The door swung open. 14 people huddled inside. Adults, children, hostages. But Naomi counted. Once, twice. 14, not 15. Rodriguez pushed forward, scanning faces. "Where's Isabella? Where's my niece?" An older woman spoke, 60s, gray hair. Dr. Margaret Walsh, according to the intelligence photos. "They took her this morning. Said she was being moved." "Moved where?" "They didn't say, just took her." Morrison's voice came through the comms. "Say again? Isabella's not there?" Naomi keyed her mic. "Negative. She's been separated from the group." Rodriguez grabbed Dr. Walsh. "Where did they take her? Which direction?" "I don't know. Please. They just took her. Said something about making an example." The execution. They'd separated Isabella to prepare for the execution. To film it. To broadcast it. Naomi's mind raced. "Chen, Daniel Chen, is he here?" A man stepped forward, 40s, fit, eyes that had seen combat. "I'm Chen." "You're compromised. They know you're CIA?" "Yes, for 2 days now. They've been questioning me. I haven't broken, but they know." "Why didn't they execute you?" "Because I told them I had information to trade. Bought myself time. Bought all of us time." "Where's Isabella?" Chen's face went tight. "They took her to the tower, northwest corner. The leader, Zahir, he's got her there, using her for the broadcast." "When?" 30 minutes, maybe less. They're setting up cameras now." Naomi checked her watch. 18:57. 3 minutes until the guard rotation. 3 minutes to find Isabella and get 15 hostages out of a compound full of armed terrorists. The odds had just gone from bad to impossible. "Hayes, we've got the hostages. 14. We're bringing them up. Morrison, Rodriguez, Tower Watch. Isabella's in the northwest tower." Morrison's voice cracked. "I'm going for her." "Negative. You hold position. Provide cover. I'll get Isabella." "Ma'am, she's my—" "I know what she is, and I'm ordering you to hold. If you leave that position, we all die. Trust me." Silence. Then, "Copy. Holding position." Naomi turned to the hostages. "We're getting you out. Stay close. Stay quiet. Anyone who can't walk gets carried. Move." They moved, up the stairs, into the courtyard, smoke still thick from Khalid's truck. Guards still scrambled around the gate. Hayes led the hostages toward the wall breach. Sarah stayed with them, monitoring, identifying who needed immediate care. Naomi broke off, headed for the northwest tower, alone. The tower rose 3 stories. Stone construction, narrow windows, single entrance at ground level. She reached the door. Locked. She placed her last breaching charge, stepped back, detonated. The door blew inward. She went through, rifle up. Stairs spiraling upward. First floor, empty. Second floor, equipment, cameras, broadcast gear. Third floor, voices. Naomi climbed, each step deliberate, controlled. Her heart hammered, but her hands stayed steady. The stairwell opened onto a room. Stone walls, single window. And there, Isabella, 9 years old, hands bound, kneeling before a camera. Behind her stood Zahir, 40, hard eyes, holding a knife to her throat. "Stop," he said in English. "Come closer and she dies." Naomi froze, rifle aimed. Perfect shot, center mass. She could take it, drop him before he moved. But the knife, already touching Isabella's neck. Any movement, any flinch, the blade would cut. Isabella would bleed. "Lower your weapon," Zahir ordered. Naomi didn't move. "Lower it or she dies. You have 3 seconds. 1." Isabella's eyes met Naomi's, terrified, tears streaming, but she didn't make a sound, didn't cry out, just stared at Naomi with desperate hope. 2. Naomi calculated, angle of the shot, distance, wind through the window, the way Zahir held the knife, the split second between decision and execution. Walsh's words echoed. "Get them out. Promise me you'll get them out." 3. Naomi lowered her rifle, set it on the ground, raised her hands. Zahir smiled. "Smart. Now kick the weapon to me." She kicked it. The rifle slid across stone, stopped at his feet. "Who are you?" he asked. "Nobody. Just someone trying to get that girl home." "Nobody comes alone into a compound full of fighters. Nobody breaches my tower. You are American military." "I'm a counselor. I help veterans." "You lie." "I'm telling the truth." Zahir studied her, eyes narrowing. "You move like soldier, stand like soldier, but you say you are counselor?" "I was a soldier, a long time ago. Now I help people, including 9-year-old girls who don't deserve to die for someone else's politics." "Politics?" Zahir laughed, cold. "This is not politics. This is justice. America bombs our villages, kills our children. And now I kill American child. Fair trade." Isabella whimpered, the knife pressed harder. "She's not a soldier," Naomi said, voice steady. "She's not a politician. She's a child who came here to help people, to bring medicine, to save lives." "Like the children your drones killed?" "I didn't pilot those drones." "But you are American. You share the guilt." "And you share the guilt for every child your group has killed. Every innocent, every civilian. If we're keeping score of dead children, nobody wins." Zahir's grip tightened on the knife. "I should kill you both. Make a video. Show the world what happens to Americans." "You could do that, but then what? More Americans come, more violence, more death. The cycle never ends." "Then it never ends. I accept this." Naomi took a step forward, slow, hands still raised. "Stop," Zahir ordered. She stopped. "I'm not going to fight you. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm just going to make you an offer." "What offer?" "Me for her. You let Isabella go. You keep me. Make your video with me. Show the world you captured an American operator. That's better propaganda than a child." "You are operator?" "I was. Special Forces, Delta. You know what that means?" Recognition flickered in his eyes. "Delta does not send women." "They didn't. Not then. But they made an exception. Know why?" Zahir waited. "Because I was the best, the deadliest, the one who survived when everyone else died. You kill me, you kill someone who matters, someone whose death will hurt America. But you kill her? You just kill an innocent child. The world will hate you. The world already hates me. But they'll remember you. Zahir, the man who executed a 9-year-old girl. Is that the legacy you want?" His hand trembled slightly, not much, but enough for Naomi to see. Doubt, hesitation, the crack in his certainty. "What is your name?" he asked. "Naomi Carter." "Your call sign?" "I don't use it anymore." "Tell me." "Viper 1. The name hit him. His eyes widened. The knife wavered. The ghost of Mogadishu. You were supposed to be dead. I was. For 10 years. But I came back. For her. For Isabella. And I'm not leaving without her. You killed 143 of our fighters. Yes. And now you ask me for mercy. I'm not asking for mercy. I'm offering a trade. A valuable prisoner for a child. You're a tactical leader. You understand asset value. I'm worth more than her. Zahir considered, the knife still at Isabella's throat, but his grip had loosened, just slightly. Morrison's voice crackled in Naomi's earpiece. Ma'am, I have the shot. Clear line through the window. Say the word. Naomi didn't respond, didn't move, kept her eyes locked on Zahir. Your people are watching, Zahir said. They have snipers positioned. You think I don't know? They do, but I'm ordering them not to shoot, because if they shoot, that knife cuts, and Isabella dies. I won't risk her life. Even to save your own? Especially to save my own. Her life matters more than mine. Zahir laughed, bitter. You Americans, always playing hero, always thinking you are righteous. I don't think I'm righteous. I think I'm someone who's trying to save a child, same as you'd do if it was your daughter. I have no daughter. The drone strike killed her, 3 years ago. She was 8. The words hung in the air, the pain behind them, the loss that had transformed him from whatever he'd been into this. Then you know, Naomi said quietly. You know what it's like to lose a child, to have her taken from you. Don't make someone else feel that pain. Why should I care about American pain? Because pain is pain. Loss is loss. Whether you're American or Yemeni or anything else. And choosing to inflict it when you don't have to makes you the same as the people who killed your daughter. Zahir's face twisted. Rage and grief and something else. Something breaking. The knife pulled back. Just an inch. Isabella gasped, gulped air. You want to trade? Zahir asked. Your life for hers? Yes. You swear this? On your honor? On my honor. On the memory of every person I've ever saved. On the promise I made to never let another child die if I could prevent it. I swear. Zahir studied her, looking for deception, for the trick, for the angle. He found none. Then kneel, he said. Naomi knelt. Hands behind your head, she complied. Zahir pushed Isabella forward. The girl stumbled, fell, scrambled toward Naomi. Run, Naomi said. Stairs, down, outside, don't look back. Isabella ran. Her footsteps echoed down the stairwell, fading, gone. Zahir picked up Naomi's rifle, aimed it at her. You are very stupid. Probably. But also very brave. Or very tired. I've carried enough dead children. I wasn't going to carry another one. Zahir's finger moved to the trigger. Any last words? Yes. Tell your people Khalid died a hero. He sacrificed himself to save children. Honor his memory. Khalid was weak. Khalid was strong enough to choose life over death. That takes more courage than pulling a trigger. Zahir's hand shook. The rifle wavered. Outside, gunfire erupted. Hayes and Morrison providing cover, getting the hostages to safety, getting Isabella away. They're escaping, Zahir said. All of them. Because of you. Because I chose to. Same way you're choosing right now. Pull that trigger and you're just another killer. Lower it and you're someone who chose mercy. Mercy makes you weak. No, mercy makes you human. The rifle lowered, slowly. Zahir stepped back, lowered it completely. Go, he said, before I change my mind. Naomi stood, moved toward the stairs, stopped, looked back. Thank you. Do not thank me. Next time we meet, I will not hesitate. Then I'll make sure we don't meet again. She ran down the stairs, through the tower, out into the courtyard. Smoke and chaos and gunfire. But through it all, she saw them. Hayes leading the hostages through the breach, Morrison covering, Rodriguez beside him, Sarah treating someone, Jenkins coordinating extraction, and Isabella, safe, running toward the breach, toward freedom. Naomi sprinted, crossed the courtyard. Bullets kicked up dust around her. She didn't stop, didn't slow, just ran. Reached the breach, dove through, rolled, came up running. Morrison grabbed her. Are you insane? You were supposed to wait for backup. No time. Is everyone out? All 15 hostages. Sarah's treating minor injuries. We need to move. Reinforcements are coming. They moved. The whole group. 15 hostages, 6 operators, running across the valley, away from the compound, away from the gunfire that chased them, but didn't find them. They reached the ridge, dropped behind cover. Naomi counted. Once, twice. 15 hostages. Morrison, Hayes, Rodriguez, Jenkins, Sarah. Everyone accounted for. Isabella sat against a rock, shaking, crying. Rodriguez knelt beside her, wrapped her in his arms. You're safe. You're safe. I've got you. Isabella buried her face in his shoulder, sobbed, relief and terror and trauma pouring out. Sarah checked her over. Dehydrated, malnourished, minor cuts and bruises, but she's going to be okay. Chen approached Naomi. That was the stupidest, bravest thing I've ever seen. Stupid usually is brave, or brave is stupid. I can never tell the difference. You traded yourself for a child you'd never met. Yes. Why? Because 10 years ago someone else died for strangers, and I promised him I'd keep doing it. Keep protecting people who couldn't protect themselves. Chen extended his hand. Thank you. Naomi shook it. Thank Thompson. He's the one who made this possible. The extraction took 4 hours. A convoy arrived, civilian trucks, Red Cross markings. Another one of Thompson's impossible logistics miracles. They loaded the hostages, drove to the airstrip. The damaged cargo plane had been repaired enough to fly. Barely. They took off, wheels leaving Yemeni soil, heading home. Isabella slept, curled against Rodriguez, exhausted but safe. Morrison sat across from Naomi. Ma'am, what you did in that tower, going in alone, making that trade, that was necessary. It was suicide. If Zahir had pulled that trigger, he didn't, but he could have. Yes. But I gambled that he had enough humanity left to make a different choice. And I was right. Hayes leaned forward. You appealed to his loss, his daughter. I appealed to the father he used to be, before pain turned him into something else. Sarah's voice came soft. Do you think he'll stop after this? No. People like Zahir don't stop. They can't. The pain's too deep. But maybe next time, when he has a choice between killing a child and not killing a child, he'll remember today. Remember that once he chose mercy. And maybe he'll choose it again. The plane climbed higher. Yemen disappeared below, became distant, became past instead of present. 3 weeks later, Naomi sat in her office at the VA hospital. Files spread across her desk, notes from sessions, veterans dealing with PTSD, combat trauma, survivor's guilt. A knock on the door. "Come in." Morrison entered. Civilian clothes, no uniform. He looked different, lighter. The weight he'd carried for weeks had lifted. "Hey," he said. "Got a minute?" "Always. How's Isabella?" "Good. Better. She's seeing a therapist, working through everything. But she's strong. Stronger than I gave her credit for." "Kids usually are." Morrison sat. "I wanted to say thank you. For what you did. For going into that tower, for—" "You already thanked me. 3 times." "I know, but it doesn't feel like enough." "You saved my niece's life. How do I ever repay that?" "You don't. You just live. You be there for Isabella. You help her heal. That's the payment." Morrison nodded, quiet for a moment. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure." "That night in the bar, when I poured beer on you, when I grabbed you, did you know then? Did you know you'd end up saving my niece?" Naomi smiled, small, sad. "No, that night, I just knew you were a scared man acting tough because you didn't know how else to be. I've seen a lot of scared men, Morrison. The ones who matter are the ones who figure out how to channel that fear into something useful." "Like you did?" "Like we all did." Another knock. Hayes entered, also civilian clothes. Behind her came Rodriguez, Jenkins, and Sarah. "Sorry," Hayes said. "Didn't know you had an appointment." "It's okay. Come in." They filed in, crowded the small office, stood around Naomi's desk. Rodriguez spoke. "We've been talking, the 5 of us, about what happened, about what we did." "Okay." "And we realized something. We went to Yemen as individuals, but we came back as a team, and we don't want to lose that." Naomi waited. Hayes continued. "Thompson's put together a proposal, unofficial operations, off the books, for situations like Yemen, where official channels won't work, but people still need help." "He wants us to do it again," Naomi said. "He wants to give us the option. No pressure, no obligation, just a standing offer. When situations arise that require our particular skill set, we'd have the choice to respond." Sarah added, "I know it's asking a lot. You've already given so much. But there are other Isabellas out there, other people who need someone willing to take the impossible odds." Morrison, "And we're all willing, if you are." Naomi looked at them. This team that had formed in a bar fight, that had flown into a war zone on faith and desperation, that had brought 15 people home when the Pentagon said it couldn't be done. She looked at the files on her desk. Veterans she'd helped. Lives she'd saved with therapy and patience and understanding. And she looked at Walsh's challenge coin, still in her pocket, still carried every day. "I'll think about it," she said. "Take your time," Hayes replied. "The offer stands." They left, all except Sarah. "You're going to say yes," Sarah said. "Aren't you?" "Probably. Because you can't help yourself. Because there are people who need help, and I know how to help them. By risking your life. By using the skills I have. I can counsel veterans here, help them process trauma, save lives with words. But sometimes words aren't enough. Sometimes people need someone willing to walk into the fire." Sarah sat in the chair Morrison had vacated. "Promise me you'll be careful." "I'm always careful." "No, you're not. You traded yourself for a 9-year-old. That's the opposite of careful." "That was necessary." "It was brave and reckless and terrifying, and I watched the whole thing through a scope, thinking you were going to die." "But I didn't." "This time. What about next time? What about the time when the terrorist doesn't choose mercy?
when the shot doesn't land, when luck runs out. Naomi leaned back, thought about Mogadishu, about Walsh dying in her arms,
About 10 years of trying to leave that life behind.
"Luck always runs out," she said. "That's not the question. The question is what you do with the time you have before it does. And I choose to spend it protecting people who can't protect themselves."
Even if it kills you?
Especially if it kills me. Because a life spent saving others is a life well lived. That's what Walsh taught me. That's what Khalid taught me. That's what everyone who's ever sacrificed for someone else teaches.
We're all going to die. The only question is whether we matter before we do. Sarah wiped her eyes.
You matter. To me. To everyone you've saved. To everyone you're going to save.
Then that's enough.
6 months later, Thompson called. Another situation, another impossible rescue, another chance to do what the Pentagon wouldn't authorize. Naomi said yes. Morrison, Hayes, Rodriguez, Jenkins, and Sarah said yes. They flew out that night. Into darkness. Into danger. Into another mission that would never appear in any official record. But the people they saved would remember. The families who got their loved ones back would remember. The children who grew up because someone refused to quit would remember. And somewhere, in whatever comes after, Walsh was smiling. Because the promise Naomi made him 10 years ago in the blood and chaos of Mogadishu was still being kept. Still being honored. Still saving lives when everyone else said it was impossible. Because some promises don't expire. Some commitments don't fade. Some people refuse to stop fighting for the innocent, no matter how many times the world tells them to quit. Naomi Carter was one of those people. Viper 1, the ghost who refused to die. The operator who became a healer, but never forgot how to be a warrior. And as long as there were people who needed saving, she would answer the call. Not because she wanted to, not because it was easy, but because it was necessary. Because 9-year-old girls deserved to grow up. Because hostages deserved to come home. Because the innocent deserved someone willing to stand between them and the darkness. That was Viper 1's legacy. Not the 143 kills, not the impossible odds overcome, not the missions that defied tactical analysis. Her legacy was the lives saved, the children protected, the promise kept. And that legacy would endure long after she was gone, carried forward by everyone she'd inspired, everyone she'd saved, everyone who'd seen what one person could do when they refused to accept that some people weren't worth the risk. Isabella Rodriguez grew up, became a doctor, dedicated her life to helping others, because a woman named Naomi Carter had refused to leave her behind. And in bars across America, SEALs told stories about the night they met Viper 1, about the beer that got spilled, about the assumptions that got shattered, about the legend who was real and alive and still fighting. Those stories inspired a new generation of operators who understood that strength wasn't about dominance, that courage wasn't about fearlessness, that the truest warriors were the ones who chose to save rather than destroy. Naomi Carter never wanted to be a legend. She just wanted to keep her promise. To Walsh. To herself. To everyone who'd ever needed someone to stand up when it mattered. And every time she answered Thompson's call, every time she walked into the impossible, every time she brought someone home who the world had written off as lost, she proved that one person could make a difference. That heroes weren't born. They were ordinary people who made extraordinary choices in moments that mattered. That sometimes the most dangerous person in any room was the one everyone underestimated. The counselor in the college sweatshirt.
The woman drinking ginger ale alone in a bar. The ghost who was supposed to be dead but refused to stay buried. Viper 1 lived, and as long as she lived, hope lived. For the hostages, for the innocent, for everyone who needed someone to believe they were worth saving. That was her story, her truth, her promise kept, and it would never end.